Marketing in 2025 is wild. Savvy customers spot fake messaging instantly, privacy changes make ad targeting a nightmare, and everyone needs more content than ever. That's why you have to check out HubSpot's new marketing trends report. It doesn't just show you what's changing, it shows you exactly how to deal with it. Everything's backed by research, but focused on marketing plays you can use tomorrow. You ready to turn marketing hurdles into results? Go to clickhubspot.com/marketing to download it for free. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 3rd. I'm John Weigell here with Juliet, Bennett, Weigell, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Some hate it, brands love it. Every year, many brands give us some April Fool's pranks to laugh about and or overreact to. This has been a yearly tradition for some time, but what do brands really get from fooling around once a year? We'll chat about that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. To start us off here, TKO Group's UFC reached a multi-million-dollar multi-year sponsorship deal with Meta, of all companies, to integrate the Mixed Martial Arts League across the social media sites, products, and platforms. In return, Meta will be, quote, the official fan technology partner, whatever that means, of UFC, and will have its brand displayed in the Octagon ring for UFC's events, that I understand. Next, in more tech news, TikTok has a new competitor called Skylight. It's a Mark Cuban-backed short-form video platform, and it launched this week. Like Blue Sky, it's a decentralized app operating the AT protocol. However, with Mark Cuban behind it, it is also backed by a very wealthy person. From there, we go to NaNoWriMo. The company is calling it quits after 25 years. It broke the news in an email to its community, which stated that, like many other nonprofits, it has struggled to find funding. Juliet, can you tell us a little bit more about NaNoWriMo?
It has not had a great time lately. It's struggled with a lot of controversy and scandal over the last little bit here. The first scandal was involving a content moderator for its Young Writers program who was accused of grooming minors.
Oh, boy.
That was obviously pretty bad. And then I think arguably worse, not in terms of what they did, but I think in terms of like how it affected them and how people see them was they refused to take a stance against people using AI to write their novels. As you know, NaNoWriMo at its very core is a group of people who get together and write a novel throughout the month of November.
Right.
It wasn't just like, hey, we're not going to say anything about whether you should or shouldn't. They said that taking a stance against using AI would be classist and ableist. And that, of course, was this huge drama because there were a lot of people who said, you know, I have a disability and I can write my own novel. Mm-hmm. I'm not rich and I can write my own novel. So there was a lot of backlash. And I think, you know, they're struggling financially. They've kind of lost the public trust. I think this is perhaps a good time for them to call it quits if they're really struggling that much.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really doesn't stop anyone from writing a novel in a single month. You can still do that if you want. You can create your own groups. You can find your own groups to hold you accountable. So kind of a bummer for something that was once really cool and sparked a lot of creative careers for people, but not surprising.
Yeah, it seems like the reputation was in the pits when they started in November. And I remember us covering this and this happened. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, I hope they hold out. But it seems that they have finally folded. And to your point, I think a good time to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we go over to some banking information. Zelle shut down its app on Tuesday, but you probably didn't notice that. I mean, I sure didn't. Zelle users sent $1 trillion in payments in 2024, but made just 2% of those transactions using the standalone Zelle app. Most people use their bank's app, which, of course, why wouldn't you? And finally, Nintendo's Switch 2 has a release date June 5th in the US with pre-orders starting April 9th. The new device is slightly larger than the original Switch. It has 256 gigabytes of storage, which is double the original Switch, and will retail for $450 or $500 when bundled with the new Mario Kart World. Very exciting. The original Switch came out in 2017, so it's been quite a bit of time. So, if you're listening to this podcast, you are more than likely thinking about business ideas.
Every entrepreneur has a million ideas vying for attention in their brain, and there's probably that one idea you can't stop thinking about. You know, the one that came to you at 2 a.m. that you got up and wrote down somewhere. Well, I'm here to tell you that that idea could be worth $5,000 right now. The Hustle and Indie Hackers are teaming up to find the next great founder and get them started with $5,000. All you got to do is record a 60-second video pitch telling us your business idea, how it makes money, and why it's awesome. One winner gets $5,000 cash plus promotion to millions of Hustle readers. Make sure you enter by April 4th at thehustle.co/bigbreak. That's thehustle.co/bigbreak. You can also click the link in the show notes of this episode. The winner will be announced on April 11th right here on the Hustle Daily Show, the Hustle newsletter, and on the Hustle's social accounts. Now get to pitching.
On to our main story today. Every year, brands love to dish out an April Fool's prank to customers. Juliet, as long as the tradition has been going, we've seen a rapid commercialization of April Fool's Day with, of course, the internet and brands being active on it. So why do brands participate in this trend every year?
I think it's on par with why they participate in any trend. They want attention, and it can be good marketing. So, you know, if you're a brand and you have a really cool April Fool's idea, one that people think is clever, one that people think is funny, or even one that is somewhat real in terms of maybe a zany product, but you can actually buy it, that does get picked up by the media. And now all of a sudden, everybody is talking about you. I know that we have talked about Duolingo a lot.
Yeah.
Because Duolingo just had a big stunt in which they killed off their owl mascot and then resurrected him in some sort of ceremony. You know, it's really been getting a lot of attention, but I was not thinking about Duolingo yesterday for a change. And then that changed because they had a prank in which they were announcing a 5-year cruise with Carnival Cruises. So that was in the media. And it's like, oh, look, there's Duolingo being a weirdo again.
Yeah.
So it does bring the brand top of mind for people who may not be thinking about it because, you know, you did something funny.
Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense why they would want to hop in on this. Holidays roll around for brands, and that's primary time to like do some holiday centric content, or, you know, Amazon Prime Day comes around for certain brands, and that's a good time to work with that. April Fool's Day is just another way for these brands to get out there and kind of steal the spotlight from each other. I also saw an ad for that Duolingo cruise. This gets me every year. I thought it was legit. I'm always tricked by every brand every year, and I always just forget what day it is. But sometimes people like me actually buy into this prank so much that it seems like they want to actually have what is portrayed in this prank.
Yeah, and I think that's the most interesting thing about April Fools is that it reminds me a lot of Coca-Cola's Freestyle machine. You can go to the movie theater and you can make a disgusting concoction of sodas, or you can make one that's kind of good. And those Freestyle machines send data back to Coca-Cola indicating if they were to make a certain flavor combination, bottle it and sell it, would it be popular? So if they see a bunch of people are making orange cherry Cokes, for example, they're like, hey, maybe we should sell that. Maybe people actually want that. And that's, you know, that's a good example of a way to figure out what consumer demand might be without actually putting a product out. And April Fool's kind of functions in the same way. We've seen a few examples of brands that have put something forward as a prank, and then consumers are like, hey, actually, wait, I want that. So a couple examples I found, Journal, which is an underwear company, announced lacy men's lingerie in 2020, only to learn that, yes, men would like lingerie. They later launched a line, and it became a best-selling category.
Wow.
Kraft Heinz, which owns a bunch of other brands under its umbrella, talked about a pickle-flavored cocktail. It turned out people wanted that, so they released a limited edition pickle-flavored canned cocktail in 2023. That's honestly not so wild when you think about martinis are olive brine, Bloody Marys have pickles.
Yeah.
I mean, that made sense.
Picklebacks, you know, you don't have to go far.
Exactly. The one that I thought was the most interesting was, so I think we all remember Pokemon Go. Everybody was walking around with their phones in parks looking for Pokemon. Niantic Labs used to actually be owned by Google. And in 2014, Google had a prank in which they joked about using Google Maps to catch Pokemon. And that was the inspiration for this game that ultimately went on to become wildly successful. So not every April Fool's Day prank is a win, but some of them actually do turn out to be products people want.
Yeah, 100%. I do remember last year there was the Rainforest Cafe one.
Oh, yeah.
They put up a picture of the Rainforest Cafe being at the Empire State Building. People like me thought that was a true thing.
Mhm.
And then in October of that year, for about 3 days, they were actually able to put a Rainforest Cafe in the Empire State Building.
That is amazing.
So it's just really funny how these things work out. And it's a nice, as you mentioned, kind of like proving ground to say like, is this crazy? Or like, would you actually like this? And sometimes if the idea is just zany and good enough, people will say yes and pay for it.
Yeah, one of my friends lives in Idaho where they do not have a Trader Joe's, and there was an announcement that a Trader Joe's was coming, and they got very excited, only to realize it was fake. But, maybe if there's enough people who's like, oh no, if you had one here, I would be there every weekend. I'd go shopping there every week. Maybe Trader Joe's will think, you know what? Maybe we should open a Trader Joe's in Idaho Falls.
That's honestly a cruel joke. That's a pretty cruel one, actually.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a little too mean, I think. But, using April Fool's Day seems like a good thing for these brands to do. And the good news is for brands that have a zany idea and that nobody wants it and it sounds really dumb, it's great because it's just April Fool's Day. So it's kind of a win-win situation for a lot of these brands once a year.
Yeah, I will leave you, however, with a story I found about an April Fool's Day prank that did not work out well.
Oh, good. I'm excited to hear it.
It's another Google one. So Google had a win with the inspiration for Pokemon Go, but a big loss with a feature called Mic Drop that it added to Gmail. It was a button that you could hit when you were writing an email that would add a Minions GIF of a character dropping a mic and then block that conversation.
Oh. The whole thing.
Which, fun, but the button to do it was so close to the actual send button that a lot of people were hitting the send button, sending a Minions gift to their boss, and then not responding to their boss for the rest of the entire day because it had blocked the conversation. There were people who did this to multiple clients. And you never know how true somebody saying something on the internet was, but one guy claimed that he lost his job or he lost a freelance client because
he sent them a minion.
They asked him for corrections and revisions, and he basically told them, no, you, unintentionally. So that didn't go well, and it created a lot of backlash for Google because most people were like, why would you do this? And now, I don't think the joke is that great, but it's another thing to put the button so close to the real button that all these people were hitting it. So, if you can take one lesson away from this, it's maybe make a zany product, maybe make a zany announcement that you think people might sort of like, if you can deliver on it.
Right.
That could be fun. Otherwise, you're kind of just spamming people's inboxes, but they do expect it on April 1st. But definitely don't create something that is going to potentially cause people to lose their jobs accidentally.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't make something that actually works, I guess the joke is on you, proverbially. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We will see you later. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. You know it. You love it. My First Million, hosted by Sam Parr and Sean Puri, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. My First Million features famous guests like Alex Hormozi, Sophia Amoruso, and Hassan Minhaj, sharing their secrets on how they made their first $1 million and how to apply their learnings to capitalize on today's business trends and opportunities. Talk about somebody that's really in the now. They had on Mr. Beast recently, and Mr. Beast talked about his origin story and how he made his first $1 million and how you can make anything go viral if you really try to do it, which is a great listen. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. You can catch all the recent episodes whenever you want, and you can listen to My First Million wherever you get your podcasts.